Hey everybody, welcome to 100 Days of Practice, episode 41. And we are talking about practicing 2-5-1 patterns. So this is the second of 5 patterns that I'm using as part of an August practice project. So like the first pattern that we looked at, this one's also very straightforward and pretty simple. It does borrow from the minor in the sense that the 2 chord is a half diminished and the 5 chord is a flat 9 chord, but it resolves to a major chord. Now one thing I find interesting about this lick is that it was inspired by something played by the late great Woody Shaw on his recording of Diane from the live album Master of the Art. Here is that lick. Now of course these two licks only bear a vague resemblance to each other, but in the case of the Woody Shaw lick, I think I was inspired by the shape of the gesture and the feel of that arrival on the G sharp. In the case of Woody Shaw's lick, it's the 3rd of the 5 chord, and in the case of the lick I'm working with, it is the 7th of the 1 chord. Let's see how it sounds at a slow tempo, kind of under the microscope, I guess you could say, with a robot rhythm section provided by iRo Pro. Now, I think many licks seem to work at certain tempos, and this one definitely feels like a fast tempo lick. So to me, it sounds a bit awkward and pedantic at the slower tempo, but again, it's a chance for us to put it under the microscope a little bit. So speaking of putting it under the microscope, why don't we do a brief analysis of this lick? So when it comes to analyzing pitch organization in jazz improvisation, you can approach it from a number of different angles. But in this case, I'm using chord-scale relationships, which of course is a very simple way to do it. So we've got a minor 2-5 going to a major 1. So in the case of the 2 chord, it's half diminished, and it's very common to use Locrian, or in this case, Locrian sharp 2, also known as superlocrian because you've got a raised 2nd scale degree. And then we've got a little chromatic enclosure to the 3rd of the 5 chord. And of course, the 5 chord is a flat 9 chord in this case. And so we're using the diminished half whole scale up to the 7th of the 1 chord, which of course is A major. And we're using Lydian in those 2 measures. You may or may not find the theory discussion interesting, but learning to label modes and scales and even intervals can help you to make sense of how the lick works and also help you with taking it through 12 keys. So for example, here it is in A flat. And the theory can also help you to make a quick adaptation to your lick to work as a minor 2-5-1. So you can legitimately ask the question, hey Rex, you're using this as a major 2-5-1, but the 2 and the 5 chord are minor. So if you're playing it as a major 2-5-1 and the rhythm section's playing a more diatonic approach to major, like Dorian and Mixolydian, what does it sound like? As it turns out, I think it sounds perfectly fine. Now this lick in certain ranges of the instrument can provide a bit of a flexibility challenge at faster tempos in that 3rd measure. There can be a bit of a lip slur issue, especially if you're using this suggested articulation. So one thing you can do, you can always tongue the note, or you can use a little bit of a chromatic alteration, as I've done here, up a half step in the key of B flat and a little bit faster. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for this lick. Please be on the lookout for more videos discussing, well, 3 more 2-5-1 licks for the August practice project. And thank you so much for watching. And as always, please do not hesitate to reach out with questions or comments.